Welcome back to this is video part 3 of our videos on the dominant seventh chord in a harmonic context. That is the notes sol, ti, re, and fa. We're going to take a look at another chord in the bass, and we're going to again determine what chord you probably heard given the context of the bass line. So this time we're looking at the chord with the re in the bass. Re. And we've learned several different things that can happen on the re. You know, the first thing we learned that we could do with a re was to do re 6-3. Re 6-3, of course, it's a passing 6-3 chord, so I could like go do, re, mi, or I could go mi, re, do. It goes either way, up or down. It works very nicely. Or I could go do, re, back down to do. Works very nicely. Of course, that would be a do 5-3. Of course, that'd be mi 6-3. And so you could very easily hear this in the passing function here, passing function coming down here. Let's look at some other voice structures that we would hear on top of that. What would sound good with do, re, mi? Do, ti, do. You could hear like a do, ti, do on top. What else would sound good? Like parallel thirds, right? Mi, fa, sol, or sol, fa, mi. That'd sound fantastic. I could do a voice exchange. Do, re, mi, re, do. And I could have those on top of each other. So, you know, all sorts of different passing functions here. We could go mi, fa, sol. Or I could go sol, fa, mi. And of course I could go mi, re, do up top while the bass goes do, re, mi. Or I could go mi, re, do in the bass and do, re, mi up top. All of those work fantastic. The chord that we're adding in today adds one more line in here, and that's our boring altizans kicks in here. Sol, sol, sol. When I add that line in here, I now add the fourth above the re, creates a 6-4-3. See, I've got my notes sol, ti, re, and fa together here. And it behaves exactly the same way that the 6-3 does. In fact, it's probably a little bit more common than the 6-3 is, simply because that sol, sol, sol is a really easy one to add into a 4-voice texture and have things work very nicely. Could have also gone mi, fa, mi on top. Neighbor functions are always good too. So all these work fantastically. So what are some options here? I have re 6-4-3. Oh, and now we recognize that the re 6-3 was the re 6-4-3 chord just without that sol, sol, sol line. It's basically the same chord. It behaves the same way, just a little bit different in the texture. You're looking at this now and you're thinking, okay, so I could have the re 6-3 without the 4. I'll bet I could have a re 6-4 without a 3, and it would be the same type of chord. You're correct, and we're going to talk about that next week when we're talking about 6-4 chords. We haven't talked about that particular dissonant chord yet. But you're right, these are all three different versions of the same chord, the re 6-4-3 chord being our bass version of that. This one is the most likely. I'm sorry. It's more likely than the re 6-3. The re 6-4 is an extremely likely chord. In fact, I might even call that one most likely. Since I opened the can of worms, let's add it in as a possibility today, realizing that we'll talk about it more next week. This one, again, is going to show up in a thinner texture, generally. This is good if you're doing a 3-voice texture. Because then you could have one voice go do, re, mi in the bass. You could have a voice go do, ti, do on top. You could have the parallel thirds mi, fa, sol. Would sound fantastic in that context and fill out our chords. And so these ones are a better guess. What's the difference between the two? Well, if I have the 6-4, that means I don't have the 6-4-3, which means I don't have a fa. So once again, are you hearing? You either heard a fa, mi, or you heard this mi, fa, sol, motion going up here. And it could be sol fa mi or mi fa mi. If it's going up, the bass going do re mi, you would have maybe heard that mi fa sol on top of it. This one, no fa. This is really our key between, I mean, it makes sense, right? The difference between the sol ti re chord, the 5, versus the sol ti re fa, the 5/7 dominant 7th, is whether you hear fa or not. And the fa we know likes to go to mi, except when we're doing parallel thirds with the bass. Do re mi, mi fa sol. Works absolutely fantastically. Now we also learned, of course, about the re 5/3 chord, and it doesn't behave in the same context as these chords at all. It's an entirely different chord. These are authentic function chords, and really they're linear, so they're not even strong authentic chords. They're decorative authentic chords, whereas this is a structural plagal chord. As such, you will hear that re 5/3 wanting to go to a sol 5/3, or some variation. You know, it could go like to the T, etc. T6/3, or even better, you know, T6/5. And so you will never hear this. This is bad writing. No. Or this. No. Or this. Absolutely not. The re 5/3 chord, that plagal chord, does not behave in that fashion. It wants to go to the 5. It wants to go to the sol 5/3, maybe to the T6/3 or T6/5. Doesn't want to go in between the do and the mi. That's what our passing re chords here are. Linear passing chords. Like I said, we're actually not doing the re 6/4 today. We're introducing that next week. So for purposes of this lesson, this is your better guess, the re 6/4/3, re 6/3 a little bit less likely than that. Roman numerals, just so you have those. It's getting more and more complicated because suddenly there's more of these things throwing out. And even though it's the same chord, just with slightly different changes, Roman numerals wants to call everything different. Like I said, French vanilla, normal vanilla, it's all vanilla, really. So this would be our 5/4/3. This would be our, because we're going to call it something different, 7 diminished 6. And this would be a 5/6/4/3 without the 3, 5/6/4. This, on the other hand, 2, behaves entirely different. So there's your re chords, your passing re chords, which the new one today is the re 6/4/3. Never going to be confused with the re 5/3 in any context.